Hello again, Phoenix Hawking here. Because I had such a nice response to my last reading, I thought perhaps I would introduce you to another book of mine. It's called Becoming Grace. It takes place in the year 1960. Things were different then. Unmarried pregnant girls only had one choice, and that was to be sent to a maternity home to have the baby and give it up for adoption. Such is the case for 13-year-old Minerva Henderson. She was forced by the nuns to change her name to Grace, but life at St. Margaret's maternity home became unbearable. When Grace runs away, hitching a ride with two young boys, has she jumped from the frying pan into the fire? Let's read a little bit from the first chapter, shall we? Tuesday, March 29th, 1960. Minerva Henderson stood on the steps of St. Margaret's maternity home, watching her mother drive away. The girl's long, curly red hair seemed incongruous against the forbidding gray stone building. She shivered as a gust of cold March wind blew her coat open. She supposed she ought to cry, but no tears came. Minerva searched around inside herself, wondering what she should be feeling, but came up empty. Sister Barbara stood beside her, shivering as well. The tall young nun was solidly built, her face soft and kind in spite of the severe wimple surrounding it. Her dress and veil were the blackest of blacks, her wimple the whitest of whites. Sister Barbara was the extern sister who served as buffer between the outside world and St. Margaret's. These first-day partings are always so difficult, the nun thought, but at least this one isn't crying. Sister Barbara put an arm around Minerva's shoulders, giving a gentle squeeze. Minerva stiffened at the touch. "Come along, dear. Mother doesn't like it to be kept waiting," the nun said. The foyer of St. Margaret's was cold and dark. To the left, a set of massive double doors closed. To the right, another heavy door with a plaque that simply said "Office." Straight ahead was a hallway, and slightly off-center, a staircase. A few paintings of a religious nature spotted the walls, unidentifiable saints, and a particularly gruesome painting of a tortured Christ that brought no warmth with them. The walls were painted in industrial off-white, the floor gray stone. A portly nun came down the stairs, holding tightly to the railing with one hand, red-faced and huffing. She carried a load of something white under the other arm. She and Sister Barbara simply nodded to each other, and Minerva wondered at their silent greeting. Minerva knew that the Mother Superior's name was Mary Elizabeth, but that's all she knew. Minerva had not yet met her. Sister Barbara had been the one to process her, which entailed Minerva's mother filling out reams of paperwork, while Minerva sat silently in an uncomfortable, straight-backed chair, hands folded neatly over the bulge in her belly. Sister Barbara tapped lightly on the door. "Enter." The voice was crisp, businesslike, cold. Sister Barbara opened the door, beckoning to Minerva. The nun closed the door quietly behind her. Minerva stood in front of Mother Superior's desk, head down, waiting. Her red hair flowed around her face like a curly curtain. Mother Mary Elizabeth was all angles and sharp points. Even the folds of her black veil appeared starched and unyielding. Her face seemed chiseled from a block of granite, and was just as cold. Her eyes traveled up and down Minerva's young body, appraising. Minerva was thin, almost bony. The most substantial thing about her was her hair, which flowed about her face like a red waterfall. Her face was pale, and her green eyes had dark circles under them, as if she hadn't been sleeping well. She was dressed in an emerald green skirt with matching maternity top. Her belly was just beginning to bulge under the fabric. "How old are you?" Mother asked crisply. "I turned 13 in January." The nun snorted. Got an early start, did we? Well, you won't have opportunity to practice that kind of behavior around here, young lady. She consulted the paperwork in front of her. I see you're almost 5 months along. That means you'll be here a while. Yes, ma'am. Minerva's voice was quiet, respectful, touched with a twinge of fear. Mother closed the file on her desk with a snap. You will address me as Mother from now on. We have rules here, Miss Henderson, and we expect those rules to be followed. Do you understand me? Yes, ma'am. Minerva suddenly felt sick to her stomach, and she swayed slightly. She willed herself to remain upright. I mean, yes, Mother. One of our rules is that the girls are not allowed to use their real names here. Do you have a name you would like to be called? Minerva thought a moment. I like the name Mary, she said softly. Absolutely not, snapped Mother. Mary is a holy name, and you... She paused, deliberately looking at Minerva's swollen midsection. You are not holy. Minerva reddened as if she'd been struck. My nickname at home was Teensy. May I choose that? Teensy, the nun barked. The short, sharp report pierced Minerva like a gunshot, and she flinched. What a ridiculous name. A frivolous name. Do you think this is a game, then, girl? Choose another, or I'll choose one for you. Minerva looked down at her new black and white saddle shoes. My middle name is Grace, she mumbled. What? Speak up, girl. Minerva's heart beat furiously inside her chest as she snapped her head up defiantly. I said, my middle name is Grace. Mother took out a chart and studied it. We have no one named Grace at the moment. Very well, you may be called Grace. Thank you, ma'am, Minerva said stiffly, her head still high. I mean, Mother. She said the title as if it tasted nasty in her mouth. Mother called Sister Barbara from the hallway. Sister, from now on this girl is to be known as Grace. Show her to her room so she can get ready for supper. Yes, Mother, said the young nun. Come along, Grace. One more thing, said Mother, pointing to Grace. Do something about that hair. You look like a harlot. Well, and that's the beginning of Becoming Grace. I hope I've piqued your interest in perhaps reading some more of my book. It's called Becoming Grace by Phoenix Hawking. You can find it on Amazon, and it's available for your Kindle as well. Thank you so much, and I hope to read a little more of my books for you soon. Bye-bye.